Salutations and welcome to today's video on video games. Now today's video is going to be a little bit different from my shit posting videos. I'm going to be talking about a game that's coming out around in October. We'll be talking about the highly anticipated Left 4 Dead 2 successor, Back 4 Blood, developed by none other Left 4 Dead studio, Rock Studio. Duh. Do I really need to say this? Really? Alright. Alright, and evolve, as some of you may know. Well, for those that are uninitiated and uncultured, Left 4 Dead and its sequel, Left 4 Dead 2, are co-op zombie or horror FPS shooter games that came out 12 years ago, and fans have been waiting for a third game up until now. Dubbed a spiritual successor, Back 4 Blood, is created by Rock Studios. So, how does it fare as the so-called spiritual successor? Well, let's load on your shotguns and prep that pipe bomb, cause we're cleaning some worms out. During the beta, we've gotten a taste of how the game may or may not play out when it releases in October. So, how does it play out? Well, quite similarly to Left 4 Dead, where you and 3 other players or bot if you fancy solo gameplay, but they aren't very good. And from what I could see and play with limited amount of bots, since my runs were always with other players. However, more on that later. Whoa, wait, Copernicus. Hold it right there. Yeah, you. Anyway, now over the weekend, the 12th of August, well, getting stuck in lockdown is really terrible. Anyway, I'm running off script here, but I managed to get a hold of the open beta again, and suffice to say, the bots are still pretty freaking terrible. So, but I'll talk about that later into the video anyway, so keep that in mind. So, it's very similar to Left 4 Dead, where you and 3 other players go from one safe house to another while killing zombies, riddance, and special riddance, and gathering resources like copper, a currency system in the game where you can use at the start of each level to get equipment, ammo, better rarity of guns, and support items like bandages or grenades. Well, to initiate the game, you head over to Phillips, a military or militiaman at this fort called Fort Hope. And it's technically like a hub for players, like in Payday where you go into your safe house. Or you could press tab and go into campaign where you start a run. And in the run, there are roughly about 8 levels split into 2 acts with 4 levels each. However, this may be different from the other campaigns or missions or story when the game comes out. But so far, it's only 8 levels, and some of them are pretty fun and some of them are pretty interesting. With 2 different finales, of course. By 2 different finales, I kind of mean that at the end of the first 4 levels, there'll be one finale, and at the end of the second 4 levels, there'll be another finale. So, all in all, there's 2 finales, but they're at the end of each 4th level. And from there, you start out with barely anything, with some basic level weapons like you would in Left 4 Dead, with an exception of a shop and the copper system. But what's different about this game is that before the game begins, you get to choose a character from a total of 5 in the beta, but there will be 8 characters in total in the main game, and maybe more to come. The 5 characters being Hoffman, the game's local conspiracy theorist and doomsday prepper who gives extra ammo to the cleaners and has 1 extra offensive item for himself and drops munitions on kills. And then there's Holly, your resident redhead girl next door. That's also a tomboy and is technically a melee specialist with damage resistance that provides a stamina boost to the team while gaining stamina whenever she bonks a ridden into the horny jail. And then Mom, a badass mother armed with a double barrel shotgun that can instantly revive a down cleaner and carry one extra support items while providing the team with one extra life to get down so that you can disappoint your virtual mother while also disappointing your real one. And then we have Walker, a grizzled veteran with a 1,000-yard stare that provides extra team health with his handy MREs that he saved up from being in the field, while also giving himself extra damage and accuracy when headshotting the ridden. And then we have Evangelio, Michelangelo. Wait, no, Evangelo, the new guy on the block who provides a slight boost to the team's speed while being the most selfish by giving himself extra breakout speed and stamina while also allowing himself to break out of a grab. Right, so that's all the characters. However, the best one is definitely Hoffman, and you can't change my goddamn mind.
Escape route.
You know what's in the water, don't you?
No. What's in the water?
I'm waiting for someone to go in so I can find out.
I should also add that support items are healing items, while offensive items, well, you do math, it ain't exactly rocket science. Or is it? And with the characters out of the way, let's talk about the card system. So, the card system is Total Rock's way of creating a roguelike feel to the game, as at the start of every run, you'll be given an option to choose the deck that you have created with cards that you have unlocked while playing the game, and you get to choose what cards to use at the start of each level. And they give you a variety of ways to make specific builds of classes, like in Payday 2 with their skill tree, where it allows you to create, say, a stealth build, or even the best build of them all, the dodge build. During my closed open beta playthrough and open beta playthrough, I have created a few decks starting from a pack mule build where I can carry ammo for the team while providing them extra ammo for themselves, and even a cleaning out special ridden deck where I deal extra damage to their weak spots, and so on and so forth. And the card system can complement the character's special passive abilities or even active ones depending on the cards that you chose, but it's not all sunshine and rainbow, as there are some downside to some of the cards as well as the way you unlock them. Some cards, while it provides you with a huge buff, say plus 75% ammo capacity, you can't pick up support items. And it's not the only card, but you get the gist. And then there's the ways to unlock them. Now, the way it goes is that you talk to this lady by the garage, or again, you can press the tab button to access the supply lines, and from there, you use your supplies that you have earned through playing the game. To use your supply, you pick a deck or a line, and in those decks, you can unlock specifically themed cards like a melee or damage-centric deck. And the UI is very much like Halo's MCC's cosmetic season or battle pass system. Now, the problem with this system is that you are forced to unlock everything in a deck, and it may have some cosmetic items like spray, banner, and icons for your profile, preventing you from unlocking that sweet ass card that is worth 100 supply because you only had enough until that stupid Valorant looking arrow, and the beta just ended, and you now realize that you sunk almost 45 hours in the open beta just to do it all of that again when the game eventually releases in October. Why are we even here? Just to suffer. But I digress. With all that said and done, you are now ready to whack some worm-ridden heads and clean up the world. You'll spawn in a safe room where you can use a shop, which is just a simple orange case. Which now leads me to the next category for the game, currency, and also the shop. In Back 4 Blood, you will find a bunch of gold coins scattered around the maps. These are called copper. Now don't ask why gold coins are called copper. But anywho, by collecting copper, you can then use it in the shop at the beginning of every level. Oh, and did I mention that if other people collecting copper, it will also deposit into your own stash. That's right, everyone has a separate stash for copper. So whatever you buy, it won't be deducted, but if someone else grabbed the copper, you're gonna get it. From the shop, you can buy ammo, replenish your health, very useful item in the shop on much higher difficulties, new and better rarity weapons, and different rarity attachments. And previously mentioned support items like bandages, which will give you some light healing, and medikits or med bags, which will provide much better or much more healing compared to bandages. And then you have painkillers that give you temporary health. Very helpful on higher difficulties because of trauma damage, which are like health, but they can't be healed, and they can only be healed by going to medical cabinets that are scattered across the maps, any level and any map. You gotta look for them, they're hidden. And also found in stashes. Quite well. And in regards to the currency, you can gain the system by having a deck that specializes in spawning more copper or even giving bonuses when grabbing it, even when someone else collects them. In one of the runs, my friend, a storm of phalanx, or phalanx storm, that's his name, was running a deck with just 2 copper bonus cards, and on the second to last level, he had collected roughly 10,000 copper on him, and this was also with spending on weapons, weapon attachment, toolkits that open stashes on the maps, as well as support or even offensive item, as well as team upgrades. Now, team upgrades are just basically items or upgrades for your team that improve, say, your healing items quality, blue rarity to a purple rarity, or even improving your grenade quality. So there are a lot of these things, and yet he still has 10,000 copper. So there might be a chance that this may be tweaked by the time the game comes out, or Turok Studio is actually allowing people to do this. So in the wise words of a tea-sipping, top hat-wearing Brit, Back for Blood is an absolutely perfectly balanced game with no exploits. Which now leads me to the next item on the agenda, weapons and attachments. And so the weapons of Black for Blood are pretty diverse, and what? Oh, right, the accent. So the weapons of Back for Blood are pretty diverse and different from the limited amount of guns in Left 4 Dead and Left 4 Dead 2. With over 24 pew-pew weapons and 4 bonk weapons for booms and a bunch of attachments for your pew-pews, it's pretty a lot. So let's jump right into it. For pew-pews, you get to choose from M4, M16, AK, SCAR, Range Rifle, M1A Sniper, but it's basically the M14 rifle, Phoenix 350L, which is kind of like a Remington 300 kind of looking bolt-action sniper rifle, M95 Barrett, M249, RPK, Super 90, basically the M1014 shotgun, 870 Express, TAC 14 shot-off shotgun, MP5, UMP45, Vector, Uzi, M9 Beretta, but not really M9 Beretta, but Burst, but it's supposed to be called the 93R, but I guess copyright reasons, Glock 23 and Glock 23 but auto, Tech 9, Deagle, 357 Magnum Revolver, M1911, and a double barrel shotgun. And with that, we have the attachments. Attachments like magazine upgrades that improve damage, reload speed, magazine capacity, and even ones that have the best of both worlds, like faster reload with extra damage, or more rounds with extra damage, and even one that provides faster reloads and extra rounds. However, again, just like the card system, not everything is sunshine and rainbows. There are also issues with the weapons and attachments. In Back 4 Blood, the weapons aren't as clear-cut as Left 4 Dead, as each individual weapon has their own stats like accuracy, firepower, mobility, and handling, but also like a rarity and star system like uncommon green, rare blue, and epic purple with some arbitrary number with stars. But why is my white common M4 have better stats than this purple looking M4 with 2 blue attachments on it? Turok Studio, I'm looking at you. Yeah, why is it like this? Why? Anyway, the weapons are also distinctively different from one another, but they are quite subtle as well as not being absolutely goddamn clear about it. For example, each weapon has different penetration percentages, but it's not told to the player. On top of the earlier mentioned stats, it isn't explained well or displayed to the player as what they do. You would think that firepower means damage done, but not really. As demonstrated by a Reddit user by the name of Nick Sands, they have mentioned that a test was done and found out that it was fairly inconsistent when they compared a range rifle and M249, as both of them have actually the same amount of firepower, 88, but both deal different damages. Have I mentioned that I hate sand? It's coarse, it's rough, it's irritating, and it gets everywhere. But I digress. The dev has stated that they are going to be changing how it will look like when the game releases. And in the department of not being very clear cut, the attachments are just the same, with it not being so clear cut descriptions, or even when it shows you what it does, like AP magazines, which increases your 78 firepower weapon by 9, it will just show the increased value instead of the base value on the gun with the improved one with the attachment. Or if you already have a kitted out weapon and you see another weapon with some better stats, but it doesn't really tell you what attachments are on the gun on the ground, and the only way to check it is by ditching that gun of yours for that gun and checking it one by one, and by the time you're done, your gun's most likely taken by the other dude that has stormed off all the way on the other side of the map. And you're left stuck with a worse weapon than you originally had. Now, with most of the weapons and attachments out of the way, time to talk about the special infected. And I mean ridden. Man, I gotta stop doing that. Anyway, the special riddens are 3 to 9 special infected ridden with their own shtick, from spitting the Rona at you to pounding you with their big, meaty fists. And the reason why I say there's 3 to 9 is because the 3 special ridden being the Stinger, the skinny and small one, Reeker, the fat ones, and the tall boys, the tall ones, are the base specials, I think, but each of them have 2 different variants. For Stinger, you have something called the Hawker that spits worm things that entraps you, and the Stinger ones that spit acid at you like a semi-automatic rifle, and another one called the Stalker, which is the Left 4 Dead 2 Hunter. For the tall boy, you have a Bruiser, which will hog smash the ground around it, and a Crusher, which will rush and grab you when it's close, like really rush you, and then, well, crush you. And also the tall boy, which actually does almost the same thing as the Bruiser, but with an overhead smash. Confusing? Wait till we get to the Reeker types. And speaking of the Reekers, you have the Ratcher, which also spits acid at you, but it's more like a stream and has quite the reach. Then you have the Exploder, which charges at you in the effort to blow you up in your face with acid. Wow, so many acid attacks. It's like we're fighting the Xenomorph or something. And then the Reeker, which is like the Left 4 Dead Spoomer, but fatter. And also, I believe it does acid damage. And of course, who can forget about the big bad boy, the Ogre. Big boy that lobs giant meaty balls at you and may grab you if you get a little bit too close for comfort. Thankfully, you can chase him by going into a room or an enclosed room that it can't fit through and shoot its weak spots, or just shoot at the damn thing. It's pretty big. But there's one problem with all the specials, besides the Ogre of course. The 3 special riddens are very difficult to identify visually, even with their weak spots that are distinct to each variant. Like for the Tall Boy Bruiser class, their weak spot is on the chunky arm, while the Crusher is on the neck. And the list extends to the Stinger type and Reeker types. The Stinger types because they're skinny as hell, while the Reekers are all fat and they explode all the same. During gameplay, you'd want to look out for cues like their grunting or footstep audio or even visual, but with common reading attacking you and even other specials, it makes it hard to identify them, and when you do, it's already too late. And the variant system, while intuitive initially, is confusing and makes the special reading feel not so special. It jumbles them up, as well as the aforementioned hard to identify which special reading you're fighting. Remember how in Left 4 Dead, each special infected is accompanied by their distinct music and voice? If only Turtle Rock made them much more audible, but with how close the game is to release, I don't think we'll be seeing the special readings getting a little bit of a change up to mix it up a bit. With the specials out of the way, it's time to talk about the aforementioned AI in this game. There's really nothing much to write home about, as the AI is really terrible. Like, really terrible. First of all, the cleaner AI, they don't really pick up any items like attachments or weapons. Hell, they don't even pick up healing equipment, so they can't heal you or even give you pills, unlike in Left 4 Dead bots. On a side note, their weapons are already blue rarity, but then they can't even put any attachments on, or sometimes they may even run out of ammo or that they just don't want to shoot, leaving you to fend for yourself. And there were even instances that the bots won't pick you up if you get down. Where else, for the written and special written AIs, they are mindless to an extent, while the specials pretty much just charge right at you, with the exception of the Sting class that might get out of the dodge, and the tall boys will cover their weak spots, making it all that much harder to kill. And that's pretty much all I can say about the bots. And I have one clip that basically sums up how the bots are, especially the cleaner bots. As for improvements, Turtle Rock should take some inspiration from Warhammer Vermintide series. In the game, you could direct the AI to pick up health items, explosive, and on top of the optional, hidden tomes and grimoires. Considering Back 4 Blood has a ping system, heck, just let the bots pick up attachments and other guns even. As for the reading, just improve the intelligence aspect of the special reading so that they are smarter and makes it hard to kill them, and not rely on spawning a seemingly unlimited number of them on harder difficulties. Special reading should feel special and not just another worm mass in the worm hive mind. And they are already pretty hard to kill, specifically the tall boys, so making them smarter and not having more of them will increase their threat without making it feel like it's bullshit. And with all that said and done, it is time to give my final thoughts and conclusion. For me, Back 4 Blood is an actual pretty fun game with some interesting and in a way in-depth mechanic that can change up the way that you play a game or even synergizes with other players. If the card system is not your fancy, well, then you can just stick with the starter deck and just play and whack some heads. It's fun with friends like most co-op games, but if you're playing with randoms, do be ready to fight for those attachments or guns to an extent. Just be courteous and let others see what it is that they would need or want to use. Don't be a selfish dick and just yoink anything you see. Overall, the game can be pretty much summed up with one sentence. It looks pretty, but pretty unclear, especially in the weapons and attachment department, and maybe to an extent the cards and what some of them do. With a little tweaking, Back 4 Blood could just be a great game, and maybe, just maybe, even a worthy successor to the Left 4 Dead series. Hey, yes, Tad the Hobbyist here. Thank you for staying until this part of the video. This has taken me quite a while to make, so hopefully in the future I'll be able to make reviews much faster than taking me roughly nearly a month. And this video is definitely very different from the ones that I've done prior, and this will be the first of many, along with other types of content that I may do. I may do some Warhammer Battle reports, some miniature hobbying videos as well, but with all that said and done, I'd like to thank you once again for watching the video to the end, and thank you for the 200 subscribers. I didn't think I would make it this far, so road to 1000 and more shit posting to come. With that, I bid you all adieu. Also check out my Twitch.